What's going on, guys? Aaron from Top Tier Gaming here, and today I'm coming at you with the updated ban list. Of course, releasing it on a Saturday during a YCS. Interesting decision. In fact, I definitely wasn't expecting anything like this today. I mean, I just woken up. So definitely a little different than normal, but I do want to cover it. I have already seen the list, so I'm going to be, instead of doing more reactionary stuff, more like doing reaction stuff, I'm going to be discussing my thoughts and what I think it means for the format and sort of my opinions on how they hit the cards and what hits they made, because I have several opinions about it. It's a pretty crazy list and not all of it's good, so I do want to discuss my thoughts on that. But before we hop into it, I do want to let you guys know, Discord link down below along with all of my other social media links. Also, I'm trying to hit 15,000 subscribers, so if you do enjoy this Yu-Gi-Oh content and you like what you see here, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps me out and what I do here on the channel. And without further ado, let's start talking about this ban list. So first thing, we can see it right off the bat is Cyberstein is now forbidden. That's pretty good. I'm going to do sort of the brief overview in case you haven't seen the ban list and go through it relatively quickly. And then I'm going to go back and do most of my thoughts. So we have Cyberstein is now forbidden. We keep scrolling down. Every time you see Max C, it's a good day. Everyone has split opinions on that, but in my opinion, I like seeing Max C still here. We keep scrolling down, and then we have newly forbidden Super Heavy Samurai Scarecrow. Now, this is one I'm going to give a lot of discussion to once we go through the list, because this one, there's a lot of things to unpack with this card that I want to talk about. So yeah, I'm not going to give my opinions on that one just yet. We have Diablosis the Mind Hacker is now forbidden. This is, in my opinion, fantastic because it means we can actually prepare for one line of play Kashtira is going to be doing rather than both, and that's really big. We have any more bans? Yes, there are two more bans, I think. Yeah, we have a Pointer of the Red Lotus banned. This is fine. I mean, like, a Pointer is a very broken card, so seeing it banned isn't surprising. And then we have Branded Expulsion, which previously on my last ban list prediction, this is actually what I wanted to happen, but my thoughts have sort of shifted since my last ban list prediction video, like a month and a half ago. And I don't like this as much now, and I'll sort of explain that again when I go through all the lists. So continuing on, that is the bans. I haven't used the EU site before, so this is new for me. We have Limited, we have Blaster coming to 1. This should have been done, I don't know, 6 formats ago. So that's really cool. Circular to 1. This brings me joy. This is something I'm super happy about. Of course, MathMech players are going to be a little bit upset, but Circular was just such a powerful card, and I guess this was their answer rather than like banning Update Jammer was to hit Circular. I'll talk about MathMech later, but I do think this is good, and especially for us Marincess players. People know I'm a big Marincess player. I think it means maybe Marincess is the best Cyburst deck now. I mean, maybe. I'll talk more about that in depth. Gamma is now at 1, so similar to what the OCG did, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 ban lists ago, maybe even longer. I like this a lot. I think Gamma is such an obnoxiously powerful card that this is something I think is good. I do not like Gamma at all, so seeing it at 1 means it's near unplayable. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. Danglong coming to 1, that's a very interesting one as well. That's definitely interesting. A Rise Heart to 1, pairing it with the Diablosis ban, I think this is like, it's a hit, but I don't think it's the direction they really needed to take. I'm not so sure about that hit. Delicious Memory to 1, this I'm going to save talking about with Scarecrow as well, because I mean, I think the Pearly hit and the Scarecrow hit, or the Super Heavy hit, are definitely gonna be one of the most controversial things talked about with this ban list, and I want to put them both together and really summarize my thoughts about both of them once I'm done covering the list. Sacred Tree to 1, this hits a version of Runic, because I'm just gonna spoil something for people who don't know. The Runic hits here, they're not good, so Sacred Tree is their way of hitting the best Runic version, but it's really not the direction they should have taken, in my opinion. Semi-limits, there's actually a lot of them. We have Herald of Orange Light going to 2. This makes 0 sense. Orange Light got hit to 1 because of tier limit format with the Ishizu cards. Orange Light, before that format, was only played in Drytron, and it wasn't the card we all wanted to be hit. It's not a card that I think deserves to be on the ban list, even though it's very powerful. I think this should have come to 3. Unicorn to 2 is extremely strange. They lost one card starter out of like 8, so that's like fine, I guess, with the other hits. It's still not enough. The Kashtira hits are very strange, except Diablosis. I want to commend them for Diablosis because that card is a nightmare, so that's good, but 2 unicorns, weird. Lightning Storm, going to semi-limit. This ban list was definitely made by, you know, someone who really hates Lightning Storm. This hit makes actually 0 sense. Now, personally, I've wanted blowout cards like Lightning Storm to be hit in the past because they're very blowout, they're unfun cards, they're too powerful, but to 2, it's just a little weird, I don't know. I guess it's the same reasoning as like a D-shifter hit to 2 in the OCG, where like it's a card that has a restriction that if you draw it mid-game, it's bad, so putting it to 2 means you're less likely to open it, and therefore putting it to 2 is like an okay reasoning, but I think 2 Lightning Storms just weird. Why is Pot of Desire still not a 3? I don't understand. Runic Fountain to 2 literally does nothing. This is what I was prefacing before. Prefacing? That's what I meant to say. Why is Runic Fountain at 2? That makes just about 0 sense. It hits Runic Stun, I guess. I don't know, it's just weird. Engage to 2, very good for Sky Striker players. We kind of knew this was coming just because they made like a rules update thing where they talked about Engage being at 2, so we kind of predicted this. Everyone sort of did at one point. And then Starter to 2 is the only Sprite hit on this list. I think that's extremely weird. We've seen variants of Sprite like Joshua Schmidt's version play 1 starter, and I think it's just a really weird hit for Sprite. It's just so strange. I feel like Sprite is so strong after this list, and I don't know. This is just really weird. And then things that came back are Steam the Cloak, which I don't think matters too much. Birdman is very interesting because, I mean, I remember when Apple Dragon came out, people were like joking that this could be good with Agents, but now with Apple Dragon and Birdman, I wonder if Agents can do something. I don't know. I like this card as like a retro card, so I'm interested to see if it does anything, but it's a little scary, I guess. I don't know if it does anything at all, though. Samsara Lotus, I don't think the FTK is still possible. There was an FTK with this card, right? I was out of the game when this card got banned, I think. But I don't really know if that does anything. Quick Fix. Again, I wasn't here for Spiral, but I'm pretty sure Master Plan, something's still banned that stops Quick Fix from being too much of a problem. Then again, you know, maybe Spiral do get a huge buff from this. I'm not a Spiral aficionado. Recital Starling is cool for bird up, so that's like cool. Draco Face Off is whatever. And multi-roll going to 3 and Engage going to 2 is that's a big boost to Sky Striker. That's a huge boost to Sky Striker. I don't know if it does too much, but that's a big boost. So yeah, covering everything. I really like that they have this latest option on the EU version of the site. So I can look at everything all at once. I really enjoy that, actually. So now going over everything and talking about the impacts I think it has on our current format and what we can expect like going forward, because this is definitely a drastic change, but not all where like the changes needed to be. This is really weird for the current format, and I'm going to come from a more competitive standpoint now because, you know, I play the game pretty competitively. I go to like a lot of events and stuff, so I want to talk about sort of the meta implications here. Stein being banned. This could technically be considered like a super heavy hit or maybe a Springens hit. Those were the decks playing Cyberstein. I like that this card is banned because Cyberstein is an obnoxious card. I think it's good for the health of the game that it's banned, but I don't think this was very popular, so take with that what you will. Scarecrow, and you know, with Scarecrow, we'll talk about Scarecrow and Pearly at the same time. Delicious Memory and Scarecrow. Here's my opinions on this, because I know a lot of people are going to watch these videos and everyone's reactions based on what they think of these hits, because I think they're the most controversial, besides maybe the Kashtira hits that I'll get to after this. Super Heavy and Pearly getting hit. These decks are brand new, so hitting them when people just got their new toys, essentially, it does feel like a slap in the face to those players, which I think is a really bad thing generally. And I do want to say, you know, I feel for you guys. I think this is a little silly that they're hit in the sense that people just now get to play with these cards. They're like 2 to 3 weeks old. They're already hit. Like, so, I mean, obviously not Scarecrow and specifically Delicious Memory are 2 or 3 weeks old, but the playability of their decks are fairly new. And I think it does suck for the players who were playing them. Now, that being said, here's my real opinion, because I don't play either of these decks. My real opinion is I think for the health of Yu-Gi-Oh!, these are like great hits in the sense that they make the game a little healthier. All Super Heavy Samurai does is put up a 15 negate board after playing for 8 minutes, and that board is near unbreakable. Now, we do have outs, you know, there are cards that can beat Super Heavy, but they just had so many different ways to make insane FTK boards that Super Heavy taking a big hit for the health of the game, I think, is good, because these decks were obnoxious and they were very unfun to play against. So yeah, both of those, like both things I've said are my opinion with this, but you know, me not playing them, I sort of feel like for the health of the game, this is a pretty good hit. Delicious Memory, like at a glance you might think, oh, they still have one Delicious, they can still play with one Delicious, but now that Delicious is at 1, it's not searchable because Pearl Lily can't search quick plays, so you can't search it there. And then my friend can only RNG hit this at a 33% chance now, which is, it essentially means this card is not a consistent game plan, and without Plump, I don't really know, like the deck definitely gets weaker with no Plump and doesn't do what it was doing before. And a 1 Delicious hit is very bad because it means you have to sack into it with Pearly or, you know, just happen to hard draw it or, you know, get a 33% chance with my friend. That being said, again, I think this is a solid hit for the health of the game because both what Super Heavy Samurai doing and what Pearly doing, in my opinion, are just not fun card design. One was setting up an FTK board, and one was setting up an unaffected towers with 4 spins, and that's never fun. That being said, I still want to go back to, even though I think these hits are actually pretty good for the health of the game, it really does stink for the players who are playing these decks because they just spent money on these decks, they just picked them up, they want to play with their new toys, take them to events, and now they can, but not in the same capacity that they were supposed to be. I think it's a very interesting stance from Konami to hit these. Like, maybe they should have given them 3 months each at bare minimum, but I don't know. That's my opinion on those. Talking about Kashtira, another big one I want to talk about. Diablosis is fantastic. This card is so frustrating to play against. It banishes your whole deck. It banishes your extra deck. It's super annoying. I hated the RNG behind this card. Not only the RNG of the card based on like what it hits, but the RNG it created around Kashtira where you couldn't, like you had to prepare for both versions of Kashtira. Like you could run things like Book of Moon and Book of Eclipse, but if they zone lock 5 back row, those cards are useless. You could run Kurikara, but if they zone lock 5 monsters, that card's useless. So you could play middle ground stuff like, you know, Gamma Seal and Kaijus and things, but you had to play the middle ground stuff almost. And if they zone locked, like a Kaiju wouldn't be that good. If you side Sphere mode, like they could do just a 2 monster board, right? It was hard to play around both versions of Kashtira. Banning Diablosis means they have a Rise Heart Pass, and then maybe some versions with Shangri-Ira now, but they're not zone locking you, essentially, which is fantastic. I love this hit. I think this is solid. Then you get to a Rise Heart and the Unicorn hits, which I think are so weird. At this point, I think Unicorn should have gone to 1, and a Rise Heart just shouldn't have been touched. It's just so strange. I think like 1 Arise Heart means now if you out it, you're in a good spot unless they Scarecrow or Scareclaw plus prep it back, and then they can, you know, it can come back later. But I don't know, it's just such a weird hit seeing a Rise Heart at 1 and Unicorn to 2. I just feel like this does almost nothing. It is the smallest consistency hit possible, which the deck is fairly inconsistent to an extent, but they can just run, you know, an extra Ogre over the Unicorn, and it's like whatever, right? So I don't know. The 1 Arise Heart means if you out it, you're in a better spot, but I don't know, most Kashtira games really didn't get to a second Arise Heart. I guess it means now with Diablosis banned, they can't go for like double Arise Heart plays. Maybe that's why this is at 1. I don't know. Maybe that is better now that I'm thinking about it, because there were double Arise Heart plays before. So I guess maybe this being at 1 just stops Kashtira from having a different version of an explosive end board. So maybe I'm fine with this actually now that I'm thinking about it a little more. I haven't given, you know, a lot of thought to this ban list, sort of jerk reactions. So, you know, a week from now, my opinions on this list could be different, but maybe this is fine. I still think Kashtira is very good, and people are really frustrated with Kashtira, but I do think a lot of that funnels into Mind Hacker, so maybe this is fine. A Pointer is solid. That card is toxic. Ban it, sure. It's one of my favorite side deck cards because it is so broken, but this is really just a hit to Labyrinth, I think, mostly, because you can't really search it in any other deck. Expulsion Ban, this is another one I want to talk about. This was in my ban list predictions before. Now I do think Puppet was the better hit. I don't know, it's just how I feel now, because even though there are different versions you could do with like Edo, Orthros, and things like that, the real problem with Puppet was its search is like sendable off Granguiganol. The more testing I've gotten against Branded, the more I think that's the better hit. Expulsion hit is still fine for me. It means there's only Incandescent Dragon that can like bring it back, or I think it's called something different now, but I don't know. I think banning Puppet might have been better, but Expulsion hit is still fine with me. The Circular hit, I guess talking about this a little more, like, I hate Math Mech. It's just a deck I dislike playing against. It's so, I just don't like it. I don't like its playstyle. Even though I play Marincess, which is a Cyburst deck, and they sort of do the same things, the way they do it are different. Marincess plays more of a grind matchup. It doesn't like FTK turn 1 with either Super Factorial or Update Jammer access code. And then, you know, I don't like that all the power was funneled into Super Factorial or Circular. I think it meant if that got stopped, your deck became nothing. And I don't know, everything about Math Mech, either playing it or playing against it, I did not like. So Circular at 1, I think, is really good for the game. But again, Math Mech players are going to disagree, and that's fair enough. I mean, your main card got put to 1, so that's fair. And then those were the biggest things. I think I talked about Gamba enough, saying I hate this card. Like, I'm so glad this card is gone. I was playing Labyrinth, like the hand trap version, so this does hurt that deck a little bit, but I despise Gamba. I think it's such an unfun card. It's so obnoxiously good that, and then you had to play Driver with it, which I hated as well. So yeah, Gamba being at 1, fine with me. Anything else I want to talk about? I don't know enough about Danglong. I know this could be really good for Sword Soul, and like Synchro Piles with Apple Dragon, potentially. I don't know. I haven't looked into this too much. But yeah, Sword Soul for sure. I think Danglong might be an option they can run now. I have played Sword Soul a lot in the past, but I've never even theoried with this card, and I've never played with this card really. So yeah, I guess you guys can leave a comment down below what you think of this. And yeah, I guess that's all I really want to talk about. Those are the biggest things I want to talk about were Kashtira, Super Heavy, and Pearly, because, and even Branded, because those are actually meta-relevant threats. I mean, there's not much more I can say about Sprite Starter. I think Runic should have gotten a bigger hit. Lightning Storm is just weird. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video. Leave your thoughts down below. I know a lot of people are going to have things to say because it is a Banlist video. I'll be sure to read them and, you know, give my thoughts down below as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. This has been Aaron from Top Tier Gaming. Bye, YouTube.